You are listening to the Female Accountant Moms podcast with Dawn Goldberg, CPA. This is episode number 21. Am I a good mom? Welcome to the Female Accountant Moms podcast, the podcast where busy female accountants who also happen to be moms like you get practical support and solutions you need to have it all, a successful career and a happy family. If you are looking for the solution to overwhelm and mom guilt, if you'd like to feel better and have more balance, as well as learn how to take back control of your life, you've come to the right place. Hi, welcome back to the show. I hope you had a great week. If you didn't check out my Facebook Live last week, come on over and join me. I did a Facebook Live last week, I think it was Thursday or Wednesday. I'm going to be doing a Facebook Live this week, Tuesday. I believe I'll be doing it at 5 p.m. But just go over to my Facebook page, CPA Moms Coach, and check it out. And hopefully you'll be able to join me. I'll be answering questions that people have submitted about different topics that I've covered with the podcast and with my blog. So come on over and join me. This week is episode number 21. Am I a good mom? This is such a great question. So let's start. How often over the course of your life have you asked yourself, am I good enough? It often starts at a young age when you begin comparing yourself to others. You start creating beliefs about how the world works. You come up with an image in your head about what it means to be good and what it means to be enough, and you continually measure yourself against that image. In this age of hyper awareness of the rest of the world's accomplishments via social media, you can begin to have an even greater feeling of not being good enough. You begin comparing yourself to the edited version of other people's lives, and you just start feeling like you don't measure up. As a working woman, there can be many layers of comparisons that can lead to questioning whether you are good enough. You may feel the pressure to do well in all areas of your life, and you just exhaust yourself with trying to figure out where you fall on the ladder of enough-ness. In trying to balance it all, the area that is most often the greatest struggle is being a good mom. There are so many opinions and suggestions that bombard moms with beliefs about things like child rearing, financial planning, discipline, education, wellness, that it's no wonder you question whether you are doing a good enough job. So this week I'm going to discuss what is good enough, what it means to be a good mom, and the importance of creating your own definition. So let's start with what is good enough. Just by virtue of the definition of good, which the definition is to be desired or approved of, we start the cycle of comparison. If something is labeled as good, then the opposite must be less than good or bad. When enough people agree that something is good, we often take their assessment and we agree. It's basically why advertising is so powerful. It tells us what to think and believe. It's especially powerful when it compares similar items. The consumer gets to see the thing they may have believed was good being compared to an item the advertiser is saying is better. And before you know it, the consumer's opinion has shifted. Now, basically the same happens with us. We are taught at an early age what is good and bad by our caregivers. And once in school, we begin to notice what our peers think is good, and we add that to our pile of beliefs. Once you reach adulthood, you've accumulated many beliefs about what is good and what is enough, whether it's comparing how you look or maybe how smart you are or what college you got into. The comparison never seems to end. And before you know it, you are overwhelmed trying to be good enough based on old programming that you didn't even realize was running in the background of your mind. And since your beliefs create your feelings, actions, and results in the manage your mind model, questioning whether you are good enough can become a vicious cycle. This is usually the most apparent when you enter the phase of motherhood. If you'd like some help with the Manage Your Mind model, you can get a free copy of 5 Simple Steps to Reduce Overwhelm today. Just go over to my website, cpa-moms-coach.com, and you can sign up for that. So the question is, am I a good mom? Well, if you are like me, you did well in school, you went to college, you passed the CPA exam and got an accounting position where you learned how to apply everything you had been taught in your studies of accounting. You may have semi-annual or maybe even annual reviews where you are told what you are doing well and what needs to be improved. You may have taken continuing education classes to further your knowledge, and you follow the company's path for your career's future. Then you decide to have a child. You read everything you can about having a baby, you take a class or two, and you listen to other mothers. Now the hospital sends you home with your newborn baby, and that's when it hits you. You are in charge of this precious life and feel completely unprepared, or at least that's how I felt. So you do what the experts say to do. You learn how to master one stage of your child's life, and before you know it, they've moved into another stage without warning. You may join your child in a playgroup so you can get to know other moms, and you start to see how other children and their moms behave. All of a sudden, the question of what it means to be a good mom starts nagging at you. You begin to question whether you are doing a good job, or basically whether your child will be a hot mess later in life. Your children eventually begin attending school, which then brings a whole new layer of comparison based on what the teacher's expectations are, as well as the placement of children in groups based on intelligence or their behavior or their aptitude. Your role as a mother seems to come with a quarterly report card in which you feel graded as much as your child. And before you know it, you're comparing yourself even more based on other people's opinions about what makes a good mom. The interesting thing is that other people's definition of what makes a good mom often comes down to this: are my children behaving and happy? Now, this sounds like a nice, simple definition, but what if it's wrong? What if being a good mom has less to do with your children's thoughts, feelings, and actions, and everything to do with yours? Letting other people define such an important role in your life and your children's lives will never get you the results you really want, but creating your own definition will. So let's start creating your own definition. When the definition of whether you are a good mom is based on whether your children behave and are happy, you are setting yourself and them up for failure. Anytime that you desire some outcome, and that outcome is dependent on someone else's actions, you are creating an expectation. This expectation often creates the feeling of resentment or not being good enough if and when this expectation isn't met. So let me give you an example. You want your child to play soccer because you've heard it's a great sport for them to learn teamwork, but your child just wants to run around the field tackling everyone instead of kicking the ball. You had an expectation of your child enjoying soccer, and now you feel horrible about the looks you are getting from the other parents, and you secretly resent your child for not following your plan. So it isn't feasible or fair to measure your worth as a mom based on how your children are acting or how they are feeling. It puts undue pressure on both of you and denies your children the right to develop naturally and have their likes, dislikes, and feelings. The truth is that children get to misbehave, they get to be unhappy, and they get to make mistakes. None of that means you aren't a good mom. If you are one of the millions of working moms who feel like you aren't doing a good job, I've got good news for you. It's not your fault. You've just never created your own definition. So what does it mean to be a good mom? Before you define it for yourself, I'd like you to consider the following simple description that I recently heard on a podcast. So here are the 3 qualities of a good mom. You love your children like crazy. number one. Number two, you protect them. And number three, you teach them. What I love about this definition is its simplicity and how everything on the list is within your control. Having the definition be things that you could think, feel, and act upon gives your children autonomy. This description doesn't imply things like, my child gets into an Ivy League school, or my child never tells me they hate me. The actions of loving, protecting, and teaching are 100% within your control. With this simple definition, you could have the following scenarios and still be a good mom. Number one, your child could behave badly towards their sibling, and you can reprimand them while still choosing to love them like crazy. So that means you are still being a good mom. Number two, your child could ask to sleep over someone's house that you don't know the family. You tell them no because it doesn't feel like a good decision to you, and your child gets upset. Well, you are still being a good mom. And number three, you teach them that drinking and driving are dangerous, yet they get a DUI one day. That still means you're being a good mom. By using the simple description I just described, you are a good mom if you've loved them like crazy, if you've protected them in whatever way was possible for you, and if you taught them what you decided they needed to learn. Notice how the definition has nothing to do with whether your children loved you back, whether they somehow got hurt by accident, or whether they didn't learn what you taught. Being good enough at anything, especially motherhood, comes down to defining what good enough is for you without comparing to others and keeping the definition as simple as possible. Let everyone else believe they need to have the latest state-of-the-art camera equipment monitoring their child's every move, or they need to cook only organic, micronutrient-dense kale in a non-treated copper skillet. You, my friends, are good enough and the best mom for your children because you say so. So in summary, as a working woman, there can be many layers of comparisons that can lead to questioning whether you are good enough. Before you know it, you are overwhelmed trying to be good enough based on old programming that you didn't even realize is running in the background of your mind. If you aren't defining what a good mom is for you, then you will default to what others believe. When the definition of whether you are a good mom is based on whether your children behave and are happy, you are setting yourself and them up for failure. And finally, creating your own simple definition that is within your control based on the thoughts you choose to think eliminates the need for comparison. So there you have it. That was episode number 21. Am I a good mom? If you have any questions about this, and if you've kind of been grappling with that, please sign up for a free mini session. I would love to talk with you and to help you with this issue and any other issue that you have. You can sign up for a free session on my website, cpa-moms-coach.com, and join me for my Facebook Live this week. I believe it'll be Tuesday at 5 p.m. Just head on over to my Facebook page, CPA Moms Coach, and I will be posting the date and time. So have a great week until next week, and I'll talk to you then. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like what you heard, be sure to click subscribe on your podcast app so you never miss an episode. You can also get my 5 simple steps to reduce overwhelm today for free by visiting me over at cpa-moms-coach.com. If you'd like some free coaching around an issue you are experiencing, go over to my website and schedule a free mini session.